Well, we are back for some Bleach Mirrors High, and I wanted to talk about the reveal that the game is coming in 2026, which is something that, if you remember, I was pretty sure of. And I know a lot of people at the time were sort of like, and I'm not saying like anyone in my comments, if you watched my videos, you know I said, hey, this game's coming like now. It's not coming in a year and a half. It's not coming in a year. This game's coming now. And I think a lot of people found that like surprising that I felt so strongly. There was no shake in my words. The only thing I ever said is I would wait. But I said I would wait, but I think they're doing it now. Why are they doing it now? Well, Core 4 is going to end. We're most likely not going to get much Bleach for a while. I know Hell Arc and the like is being discussed, but this game is a Japanese IP game. They want to capitalize the most off of the hype that they have. They're putting a lot of effort into art, a lot of effort into promo, and they're coming, right? With that in mind, it sort of just stands to reason that they're not going to wait a year for Bleach to become outdated, to become, something no one cares about. They're just going to do it now. So I made some points here that I want to talk about. And so let's talk about gameplay. Gameplay quirks. The game has quite a few gameplay quirks. I felt personally during the beta that these were sluggish responses on inputs, which are a nightmare for a PvP game. You cannot really have these games play sluggishly. You cannot really have these games dawdle or, sort of like lag behind, right? It's just not something that is, possible if we're going to talk big, meaningful PvP. And though mobile game PvP isn't the most like hallowed arena, you're going to go to Evo and you're going to play mobile game PvP. It is important to just, have an environment that's at least satisfying to play. You know what I mean? Like, we want to play and have our moves come out. Like, that was a big thing. Combo system felt a little weird, felt a little unresponsive at times as well. If there's one thing I'd say about the beta experience overall, it's just unresponsiveness, right? Other gameplay things, which I guess this does count as gameplay technically, is that customization felt good. I believe you can access different outfits and the like. All of the character models look pretty good. I know they're predominantly from Rebirth of Souls or in some way, taken from that. If that's the case, then I think they look good. A lot of the ultimates look pretty good. Even the few that I saw, some especially were pretty impressive. The Mayuri one looked pretty impressive. Had great... I'd say that the ults were, by and large, very sufficient. What they did use is a lot of camera movement. I felt like the camera movement looked great in a lot of them. I feel like the essentially what do they call it? Like the rigging, the propping, the choreography. I felt like it was pretty strong for like a launch game. I'm not expecting ultra cooler, from literally yesterday. I'm not expecting Legends Limited, Legends Rarity, Vegito or anything on launch day. I think a lot of people are saying like, oh, new game looks worse than Dragon Ball Legends, and I think that's kind of just stupid. Like, yeah, Dragon Ball Legends has been... The people who have been making Dragon Ball Legends models have been doing it for nearly 10 years at this point. There's a lot of money in Dragon Ball Legends. Dragon Ball Legends makes... It's like it and Dokkan together make like... What was the absurd number? It's like they make up 30% of the money over there, like a crazy statistic. So it's like, yeah, obviously that's going to be like a high priority for them. Currency per month. We literally are launching into this game with no real idea what pulls are going to look like. A lot of the pulls I felt like came from the... Why is my chair squeaking so much? A lot of the pulls I felt like came from handouts. Came from beta events and not so much came from the events themselves. Maybe I'm misremembering. That said, with a game that's so closely mirroring Dragon Ball Legends does have a pretty nice relationship with currency per month. I will probably be going in for the monthly because I do plan to play this game long term, at least until EOS, right? So, that's the plan currently. I am looking for sort of a second game to play on the channel, and with most of my viewers being Bleach fans, I figure it's a no-brainer. I do like Dragon Ball Legends. The only problem with Dragon Ball Legends to me is that it's hard to get into on a new or returning account, personally. I don't find the PvE that interesting, and I think the PvE in this game actually looked more interesting than Legends, so we'll see. We'll see. But yeah, we don't really have any idea. I think the grand theme of this release is that we don't have any idea. Should it even release now is another point I was going to talk about. I would say probably not, based on just what we have so far. It looks... Here's the thing. They made all the models, and they made the customization. They probably made the story. I said a long time ago, whatever they have in the story is probably not what they put in the beta. They probably put the absolute bare minimum in the beta just to test the responsiveness of the game, and they're back in working on gameplay things. I don't think they made a billion artworks, a billion icons and currencies and the like. One thing I would say about the currency in this game is it doesn't look cheap in terms of sometimes you play a mobile game and the resources that you use to level up the character themselves look cheap, and it's usually a sign of how much effort did you really put in. I don't think a lot of that stuff looks cheap. I think the UI looks a little minimalist, a little cheap personally, but it's not the biggest deal in the world, right? It's not, the UI is the UI. It can change. It did feel a little unresponsive, I will say that, but it's a beta. These are the things they're testing. I think that they have, like I said, a lot done that was, made and ready to go, but they weren't going to put it in a closed beta test. And what they were probably testing is the responsiveness of the game, the way it plays and the like. If we don't get confirmation of a real-time PvP, which I think we will, by the way, I don't think it's just going to be like, oh, we're going to launch and it's going to be PvP AI. Nothing like that. I don't know. It really did feel like early 2027 was the landing spot for this game functionally, but I just kept maintaining, I just knew that this game was coming out in 2026. These games want to make money. They 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 don't want to release the best game in the world. They want to make money. People seem to get very confused about that. They seem to get crazy confused, especially with Japanese gacha, when they don't release as well as a Chinese or a Korean gacha game. They want to make money. You know what I mean? It is what it is, man. You don't tie an IP to something and then wait until it cools off. You tie an IP to something and you release it when the most eyes possible are on it. You drop this announcement after everyone's talking about Orihime. That's how it works. Isn't that a concept? I don't get why people didn't understand this in the abstract. It was so obvious that they were going to announce this in 2026 to me. But yeah, as for my last point is BSR anniversary. We've talked a lot about Shueisha stifling BSR in favor of BMH. I do believe this is a thing. That said, I'm of two minds. One, I think they very well could take the route where they step on BSR's anniversary. I think this is foolish. I think IP games all should work to prop up the IP. Whatever you feel about BSR's current event, current celebration, the world looks worse if the only Bleach game you have access to that anyone wants to play is Dragon Ball Legends Bleach. I know a lot of people have been playing Dragon Ball Legends for a long time, if you think that whatever the Bleach Mirrors High meta is going to be free to play friendly, is going to be accessible, is going to be fun forever, you're a bright-eyed idiot. Hold on that. Hold on that. You're a bright-eyed idiot. Usually I don't step on people's opinions too harshly, but if you think less options in any aspect of life is the better choice, you are crazy. Like, you do not want a single thing like Bandai Namco having a monopoly on the Bleach IP. That's how we get half-baked games like Rebirth of Souls, where no one cares anyway, so you can just make it shit. Where you get Sparking Zero, where no one cares anyway. The fans will slop, eat it up. So who gives a shit? Release it unfinished. And ultimately, that's how you're going to end up getting a game like Bleach Mirrors High if it does end up being very whale-centric and not very free-to-play or low-spender accessible. That's how you get, you know, a product that only looks to squeeze out the highest pairs, which is a gacha game, so that's inherent, right? That's inherent. The Goreshes of the world will always have an advantage. That's how it works. If you're Dragon Ball Legends and you're Goresh or you're Slavix or something and you're spending, that's how it works. You know, we get that. We're all in the same room. We're all having the same conversations. But you do not want these games to hold the sole rights for the IP. And so I think the people who are celebrating the death of BSR, I think you're dumb. I'm usually much more open to opinions, and I really don't care if like Bleach Soul Resonance just snaps out of existence one day. It is what it is. I'm enjoying it, but I'll just move on to playing other things. This channel doesn't pay rent. This channel is for fun for me. You know what I mean? And I'm glad people want to see it. But if you genuinely think that a company having a monopoly on an IP is better for the IP, you are dumb. And I can't convince you that you're not dumb. You're probably too dumb to realize how dumb you are. So, in summation, I really hope this game lands right before Bleach Soul Resonance Anniversary or right after Bleach Soul Resonance first part of Anniversary, because it's not gonna happen. Hopefully it's one of those things where it's like, oh, Bleach Soul Resonance Anniversary is in November or whatever, and then Bleach Mirrors High releases in December. Like, it's not gonna wait for Bleach Soul Resonance Anniversary, but you get what I'm saying. Like, it should coincide evenly with that thing happening. So yeah, that's my opinion. Please, God, do not become a thing where this game's sole existence is to stamp out the only other Bleach thing we have. People complain all the time, oh, why don't we get more IP? Why don't we get more things? And then they're like, oh, okay, we have 2 cakes right now. Let's fucking kill one of the cakes. Let's fucking kill that cake. Put your ass on the cake. No one can eat it. You're stupid. You're kind of stupid. It doesn't matter if Bleach Soul Resonance is having a whack celebration. You think this game is never going to have a whack celebration? You think gacha games all have good celebrations all the fucking time? Are you insane? Are you crazy? Dokkan has been having a whack celebration for like 6 months. If you didn't pull Metal Cooler, you had nothing to do for like 6 months. What are we talking about? Anyway, I've been Lone. Bleach Mirrors High, very excited for it. Hope they fix some of the gameplay quirks. I am okay waiting for things in a gacha game to be ironed out. I always say that. I just need the gameplay to feel smooth. That's it. So, like if you liked the video, subscribe to the club, y'all go make it, and peace.